Hey guys, this is the Ranker here, and this is going to be my thoughts on the Baltimore riots. Sorry what I did there. But anyway, now the riots started yesterday because of the death of Freddie Gray, who was killed by a white police officer. Of course, because there's just so much white supremacists that are basically in disguise as the pigs in blue. I'm not trying to say that to be harsh. I know that there's good cops, but whatever. But what I think about this riot and stuff is it's fucking like barbaric, and it's just so stupid. And there's even people on 4chan who have made multiple threads saying, "Hey, look at the chimps rioting. Hey, look at those black alien creatures. Just look at them." They're still treating us as if like how white people did when they first saw us. Like, come on now. How can you be so basic? How can you be so primitive? But back to the subject. I just really hate these riots, and these riots have gotten so bad that today schools have been closed for like all Baltimore schools have been closed from the city to the county because transportation buses such as the 36 or 48 are shut down, and one of my friends lives there. So if you're watching this, please man, please be safe, CJ. But anyway, all this stuff is just so ridiculous. I mean, just never in my life have I ever seen this like crazy shit, and it just baffles me. Like we're just basically, and these riots are just so damn stupid. And I understand that this is a country that has an obsession with serial killers and violence. And let's see, I mean, this is America, people. This is a country that lives on fucking, let's see, morals, pro-life, glorification of serial killers, violence, sex, guns, and just so much other shit. And especially racism goes into that mix too. Just some people in America thrives on racism, such as just racists, KKK members, white supremacists, and all this other type of shit. And never in my life have I ever seen this stuff happen like this. And this isn't the first time. This is actually the second Maryland riot, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong, because the first one started way back in 1968, and it was much more chaotic than the Baltimore riots of 2015. So basically, it's just like history is coming back. Maybe I'm just saying, like possibly if this happens in Los Angeles, there's going to be another Los Angeles riot. You remember with the whole Rodney King incident. You remember, for those of you who probably went through that shit, and if you were born there probably the exact same day, then damn. But seriously, all these riots are just so uncalled for because the parents of Freddie Gray asked for a peaceful protest with picket signs and just marching and all of that shit. That is a protest. That is a so-called peaceful protest and not inflict violence. But they get the Ferguson treatment. And if you don't know what that is, I just came up with it. Now, the Ferguson treatment is basically when a black guy gets shot by a white police officer or killed by a police officer, 50-50. The parents of said black person will beg for a peaceful protest, but in the end, they receive a riot, and then probably about in 2 weeks or an entire month later, the city's destroyed, people have to rebuild it, and then they forget all about it. Some. And that's basically the Ferguson treatment. And it's that easy because I just came up with it just now. And I just really can't stand this stuff. And it's gotten so bad that they've called the National Guard where there's tanks in the streets. I think there's just tanks in the streets because of this. This has gotten so bad. This is worse than Ferguson. This is just worse than the LA riots at best. And there's only like a small percentage of people in Maryland who are having peaceful protests. They're not inflicting violence. They're not beating up cops. They're not flipping over police cruisers or damaging police cars or flipping over SWAT trucks. They're not doing that stuff. They're not saying fuck the police. And because of this incident, the Crips and the Bloods have gotten together. They've gotten along and they're targeting the police. Now this can end up either one or two good ways. Now, one, that means the police will back off and stop doing this shit, or two, the death toll in Maryland might get bigger since you have the Bloods and the Crips reuniting. And let's hope this is just only for this, because God forbid this might be fucking Chicago, because people in Maryland doesn't want it to be Chicago too. I mean, fuck. And I honestly don't have anything else to say about this because it's just that bad. And the mayor, I think her name was just Stephanie Rawlings or something. I don't know if her last name is Rawlings. I got confused with Henry Rawlings. But the mayor of Maryland stated that she's happy about this, saying that she's happy that people are destroying buildings and destroying everything valuable to somebody. Yes, yes, I'm not fucking kidding. This isn't a practical joke. The mayor is allowing this to happen. She's allowing people to get she's allowing stores to get burnt. She's allowing cops, the good cops, to get beaten senselessly, and she's letting the Crips and the Bloods come together finally. She's letting all this happen. It's like she just wants to see this whole city in ruins. Hell, my friend lives there, and I don't want to see him be killed there. I don't want nothing to happen to him because nowadays it's worse than in Detroit too. Because the cops treated us like shit back in the day, and they still do now. Just the thought of being a young adult or a teenager just walking to school, you're getting harassed by the cops. It's a fucking nightmare. But back to the subject. I just really think that these Maryland riots are just so damn uncalled for, and it just needs to stop. And I know this will stop. Just like Ferguson, it's gonna go away. It's not gonna branch out till fucking July or September because I'm pretty sure it'll probably end in 2 weeks or probably a month. I'm not trying to say that it will, but it's a possible chance. It's a 50-50 chance, or in this case, a 50 to 45 chance that this will end pretty soon or pretty earlier. So I'm not going to say that this is just fact. I'm not going to say that it will end in 2 weeks is fact. I'm not trying to say that. I'm just trying to say that it will end soon. But in the meantime, for all the people in Baltimore, just please be safe and don't riot. And mostly it's the West Side that's being violent. It's mostly the West Side. And I think the East Side and the North Side or South Side, I think Maryland does have one. Those parts are safe. But it seems like the West is trying to go to the East, and if they go to the North, then my friend is fucked. And I really don't want him to die. I mean, just he was my nigga, but yeah. So I guess that's all I gotta say. Is that this stuff is just so crazy, and it's just majorly uncalled for. Like doing all this is gonna avenge him. And when I say this, I don't mean to be harsh. I don't mean to be rude. I don't mean to offend anybody out there who's watching. Please send this to Daily Dot. I guess I don't know, but I'm just saying that there are just probably some people in Maryland who are only doing this because they finally care about their race. Because it seems like some black people only care about their race when a white man harms it. That's the only time they'll really care. And I'm being honest. Like, say if it was probably like, what, a fucking Mexican police officer, there wouldn't be riots because we hate, not we, but everybody in Maryland basically just hates cops. Not everybody, but just a large percentage, while this is a small percentage that does love cops, but at some degree. I mean, I have a very neutral opinion on the police force since all this shit is happening. But this is ridiculous. All these, I mean, just so much rioting. Like all these stores getting burnt down and everything. This isn't going to bring him back. And I know that had he would have been white, nobody would be doing this stuff. There wouldn't be like police cars flipped. People would brush it off or have like GoFundMe pages or change.orgs or probably a fucking Kickstarter to avenge him or anything else if he was white. But since he's black, he's getting the Ferguson treatment. I'm being honest. He's getting the Ferguson treatment. And That's all I got to say for now. I'm just going to do my rant on changes. And this is the Rant Kid here. And rest in peace to Freddie Gray. I am so sorry you're looking down at us while you're in heaven that you have to see this shit. I'm very sorry that all these people in Maryland are doing it. But rest in peace. And my condolences go out to the Gray family.